Hi everyone, I'm Taylor Dewberry and I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. And for Virtual Career Day, I wanted to talk a little bit about being a lawyer and a little bit about what I do and maybe challenge you to think about some issues from the law. So first, what inspired me to go to law school is a little bit of two things. One is that my mom and my brother are both lawyers, so I was always really inspired by them. And two, I was really interested as a student athlete at Stanford about how lawyers and maybe the law could help student athletes. So that was one of the major reasons why I decided to go to law school after college. And so that brings me to another point that in order to go to law school, you have to go to college for 4 years. And then after college, you would go to law school for 3 years. And then after you've graduated from that, you have to take this test called the bar exam. And essentially, it's this 2-day long test that you study all summer for. And then at the end of the summer, you go take this test administered by the state, and they test you on all kinds of law, like criminal law, business law, all these different types of law, and see if you have mastery of it in order to advise clients about that. So after you pass that, then you become a lawyer. And some of the things that lawyers do is they read cases and they study the law. You could be a criminal lawyer, as I mentioned before, which you guys are probably a little bit familiar about when you see like lawyers defending criminals or criminals going before judges. That's like criminal law. But what I do is a little bit different than that, actually way different from that. I'm an employment lawyer, so I work with companies and defend them when their employees sue them. So that means like the employee would say, you've done this bad thing to me at work. And then we would work with the employer to figure out whether they did do that bad thing and how to defend them about that situation. And it's really interesting because there are all types of people that have work and employment, and so there's always cool facts to work with there. As far as what are some of the things that I do in employment law, I get to study the law, which is sometimes boring, but also interesting because it's really cool and developing, because human resources, which are people, are always developing, always changing. And so that's really cool. And so what I get to do is I get to read documents written by employees. I get to read sometimes their emails and text messages and advise a client or partner. And so that would be like someone who has hired me to be their lawyer, or a more senior lawyer, like someone older than me and has more experience than me. I help them, advise them what to do on a case. And so we would research cases in order to give that advice. So some interesting cases that I've worked on, like I don't get to do that cool kind of courtroom law and order type of work. But we have had a lot of cases where we get to read a whole bunch of laws and then figure out how this law is best gonna work for our client. And sometimes we're arguing new types of developing law. So that's always really cool. So one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is, what can you be thinking about? Like, what do lawyers do? And so often they're going to court, and so they are defending one client's position or another client's position. And so what I wanted to really get you guys thinking about is, like, during this time, there's a lot of conversation going on with masks, and whether people should wear masks in public, whether people should not wear masks in public. And so there might be laws or regulations by the state telling someone whether they have to wear a mask or not in public. And so I want you guys to get thinking about, like, if you were lawyers trying to deal with developing this new law, would you want to say, I am in favor of wearing masks in public, and why? Or are you not in favor of wearing masks in public, and why? And those are some things that maybe you guys can think about, talk about as a class. And as always, if you have any questions for me, I'm sure that your teacher or your counselor can get in touch with me and ask those. Thanks so much for inviting me. Bye.